What's going on, crew? Not the best night, not the worst night, right? Um, but just to try to give you an idea of how this six times value thing work is it won't really get me too much. It can go either way. It can get me a little under 300 or a little over 300, but I will always be around the 300 mark because when I'm setting my lineup, that's the mindset that I have. I'm shooting for 300. So they always told me if you aim for the stars, you'll land on a cloud, if not make it to the moon, right? Um, I normally don't show my contest and how much I won and whatnot, but tonight was a night where I went very light. I only entered most of the single entries just to stay away from the sharks, and I always enter a top five 10 times. You can't miss it. A lot of times I do the $10 for 100, but they didn't have any tonight. Um, and just to show you how I did, even though I only scored 275, I was in the money in every tournament. This tournament, I don't know what lineup I had. I think Draftkings, I have to send an email because I only played one lineup. I think this is the lineup I had earlier and I forgot to switch it out. And I ended up with 242 for some weird reason. This is supposed to be 275 and I would have been in the green. But it's all right. I was in the green on everything except for my top five, which is not that easy, but I do hit it quite often. If you played my lineup, you'd have been with me in the green in your 50-50s, in your tournaments. This is all tournaments. I did no 50-50s today. I did all the single entries and three entry max. And I always take a risk with this four play. You never know. It looked like 350s and 340s would have won it, but I didn't lose any money, okay? I bet 12, 16, 46, 49, 76, 77, 83, 86, $71 if my math is right, and I won 116. This is what I'm talking about, account management. You want to make sure at the end of the night, if you do good or bad, you're always in the green, you always win money. When I pick the tournaments that I enter, I construct it in the way that I will always win money. If I win $40 every day for a month straight, that's over $1,000 in a month. You know what I mean? So I'm not in it looking to kill the bank. I'm in it to profit. And if you follow my videos and you subscribe and you take my advice, you shoot for six times value, most nights you will profit. It's a long slate tomorrow, so let's jump right into it. First game, Chicago versus Orlando. Um, Vucevic is questionable. Even if he does not play, I'm not paying 55 for Biombo. Just not doing it. For the minimal, yes, but Biombo price has caught up to him. Dwayne Wade is doubtful. They're saying he might not play. Again, I will stay away from Jimmy Butler for 9,000, but let's check him out. Rondo is a game time call. Um, they've been giving him more minutes. He's up and down on a big slate. I'm sure we'll find something better. The matchup is not quite there. When the minutes have been there for Rondo, he's been pretty close to 30, which is six times value. Does have some upside to give you eight times value. He just doesn't start, and for someone that's up and down that do not start, it's not someone that I'll pick off the bat. All right. So Michael Carter Williams, I think, get the start sometime. If not, Jerry and Grant, and Jerry and Grant will put up 25 or 3 and 10, 9, 16. 14 minutes in two games, he put up 9, so he's not really reliable. Dwayne Wade is looking like he'll miss it. I said in the first video that with Jimmy Butler without, I think with Dwayne Wade, his value is higher and his price will be lower. His usage does go up, but teams are able to focus in more on him because they have no one else that can really consistently score the basketball. And with team focusing in on him, um, To be honest, this was a great night for him. All right. He had 27 points, some assists, some rebounds. He got 46, which is good. 46 is barely five times. It's less than five times value for his price. And if we're going to be shooting for six times value, Jimmy Butler is just not someone. I want someone with upside that can surpass their value. Six time for him is 54. If he gets 54, it'll be his ceiling for the most part. All right. So I'll leave Jimmy Butler alone tomorrow. He's not someone I would consider. Um, and whoever get the starts for Wade, I'm not really interested. It's like throwing darts. You might hit, you might not. Lopez is someone that I like to play and is someone that I would consider tomorrow against a Magic team who does not play well in the post. If Vucevic plays, I like Lopez more. Biombo is a bit of a defender. He kind of control the post. I'll hold on to Lopez for now. On the Orlando side of the ball, since Vucevic been out, Aaron Gordon been picking up the slack, which caused his price to go up. Six times value is 36. And that's pretty much where his ceiling will be. I would be careful for Aaron Gordon tomorrow. The upside isn't quite there with or without Vucevic. Not really impressed. Terrence Ross, he can give you 35. He could give you 14. For six times value, you need about 30. He did that in two of the last four games. He even gets you up to 40, but the 14 and the 16 scares me. It just depends on how his shots go. Here he took 10 shots, he made two. Here he took 18, he made eight. Who's to say which one will occur tomorrow? I'm not really interested in Terrence Ross. Um, Point guard Alfred has been up and down. He has been hot as of late. 40 and 50. He needs 36. Yeah, get you into the 30s and 40s. I don't see another triple double from Alfred. It's just not him. This is fake. It's the Knicks without Melo running up and down. I think this is more him tomorrow. 20s, low 30s, and I don't think I need that in a big slate. Augustine, be careful with these bench guys. Fournier had a good game. Everyone had a good game against the Knicks yesterday, so that can be fake. And even with his good game, that's just at six times value. His ceiling is really 47 once in a blue. In 29 minutes in the Bulls, he gave us 18. So he's not someone I'm excited about. Spoke about everyone else. If Vucevic plays for 7K, it's an interesting play. We just don't know, and I'm not gonna put him in. He's someone that might make my updated lineup tomorrow, but right now we don't know his status. Going on to the Brooklyn game, there's no injuries. I like Jeremy Lin tomorrow. He's full of confidence. He just beat Memphis. His price is fairly low. Even in the Memphis game, he did very well, and he didn't hit six times value for his price. That would be about 27. Um, he shares the backcourt with two other players. Dinwiddie, who gets a lot of minutes, 23 minutes a game, 24, and Whitehead, who's going to get about 20 minutes a game as well. So I like to pick on Atlanta in the point guard spot. It's just that it's too crowded. And Lynn had a really good game. I'm surprised he only had 25 fantasy points. Um, for a point guard, you would wish and hope that he can get you more assists. So he's not someone I'm excited about tomorrow. Neither are his backups. Kilpatrick has been playing very well lately. He is someone that I'm interested in tomorrow. They're on the road, but it's Atlanta who tends to give up a lot of points to that position. In the last couple games, he's been in the 30s. To hit value, he needs about 27. And I'm interested in it. I think he can do that. These guys on the Nets are not reliable, but I'm going to put him over because he is someone that has my interest for tomorrow. I like the fact that he scoring in the 20s. Um, Not as consistent as I would like, but the upside is 30s, mid 30s. So the upside is there, and he's heating up. You like to get guys when they're heating up and their price doesn't reflect it right away. And he's in a good matchup as well. So I'm going to consider Kilpatrick. Levert, I don't like to play him. Every now and then he'll give you a good game, but just not consistently. Quincy AC I like for a minimal price guy, um, but they don't like to give. I like him as a player. I live in New York. I watch Nets games. Him and Trevor Booker, uh, hustlers. They like the rebound. Quincy AC hit the three ball for you, but on an 11 game slate for fantasy purposes, I can't let my bias impose my decision. I'm going to leave both of them alone. Brook Lopez for 6K. In 32 minutes, he gave us 32 points. As we know, his upside is in the 40s. He hasn't really been there in a while. But Dwight Howard and what's this guy's name? Dwight Howard and Paul Millsap in the down low is going to be a bit of a challenge. He's more of a perimeter center. He likes to take threes, and Paul Millsap can extend himself out to the perimeter and pick him up and play good defense. So I'll be careful with Brook Lopez. I'm not excited about him for 6K, but that is a good price for him. We know that he can consistently get you in the 30s. Um, Moving on. I'm going to try to move quick on this long slate. All right. Schroeder against Brooklyn. I like a lot. All right. In less than 30 minutes, he put up 40 points. Brooklyn is someone you pick on for fantasy purposes. All right. They just lost 2 games. They want to win. This is a matchup for him. He needs about 36 to 40 to hit value. He's been 36 consistently. His ceiling is okay. He will get you up into the 40s and 50s. He's done it against the Bulls in limited amounts of minutes. He's taken over 15 shots a game. He will get you some assists. He'll get you some steals. He'll even grab some rebounds. We know Brooklyn does not grab rebounds. I like Schroeder tomorrow. I think Schroeder will show out. Tim Hardaway Jr. can get hot. It's just that he competes with Cephalosha, and either one of them can have a good game. Here we see that Cephalosha didn't, and I handcuffed them to each other after that Minnesota game got canceled, and I was desperate for a quick lineup, and it paid off. You know, it didn't do very well, but it did well. Tomorrow I'm not gonna do that. I'm gonna stay away from both of them. All three of these guys kind of compete for who's gonna have a good night. Hardaway, Basemore, Cephalosha. Against the Nets, it's a good matchup. In 22 minutes, he gave you 24. It's just that his price is inflated. He needs about mid 30s. He has done that in 3 games straight. He is getting a lot of minutes. He is as well shooting a lot of shots. But like you see here, he was 1 for 6 from three, so he can get cold. They can pull him out. Even when he's cold, he still give us 33. But for his price, I'm not happy with 33. I don't think he can give me the upside that I would want to push me over just winning. 3 nights in a row I've won, but I've just won. I think I'm due for a big night, and tomorrow is the night to aim for it. I'm gonna leave Tim Hardaway alone. Um, Paul Millsap again. It's the Nets. Everyone is a good matchup against the Nets. So the next thing to look at is price. He would need, what's this? 42 plus 4, 45, mid 40s to hit value. In 28 minutes, he did about 37. Yes, he can get you into the 40s consistently, into the 30s and the 40s. I could put him over. I don't think I'll play him, but he is worth consideration, and I'll put him over on the queue as we continue. Ilyasova has been playing well for Atlanta. He's been getting minutes in the 20s. He also can get you some steals, blocks, rebounds. He needs about 24. He has done that in 3 of 4 games that he's played. It's the Nets again. In 2 games, I think he was with Philly. He had a larger role where he was taking more shots, so don't let this fool you. But um, in the 3 games that he played, I mean, he comes off the bench, and although the minutes are there, it's just that I'm not excited about bench players. But against the net, it's worth consideration. I'll pull him over, and we'll keep an eye on him as well. Dwight Howard might be a monster play for tomorrow. The only thing with Dwight Howard, he needs mid 40s, and he gets minutes in the 20s more time than not. Even sometimes he gets minutes in the 30s, and he'll give you 30s. He gets you 30s more than 40s, and if he needs mid 40s, although the matchup is great, I'm going to pass on Dwight Howard. And that's that game. Moving on. This Miami game filled with a lot of injuries. All right. I don't like to target Miami. They play defense. It's tough. They're a tough team. Um, Tyler Johnson, I didn't know he is questionable with a sore left shoulder. He missed a large portion of last season after going surgery on the same shoulder. So the Heat could keep him out because of the soreness. If he misses, I like Dion Waiters. Dion Waiters is way too cheap for 6K. He had some ankle issues. He was slowed down, but he's back. I saw this game. He's good. He can hit a long range shot. He has upside in the 40s. We need mid 30s. I like Dion Waiters tomorrow. Um, in 34 minutes, he put up 28. Looks like he was in a little bit of foul trouble, but he did play good minutes. It's just he just didn't shoot the ball too well. 5 for 16. So when he shoots the ball bad, we'll have a bad night. But when he gets it on in here, um, we can hold on to Dion Waiters. I'm not saying he's a lock, but he's a consideration. The matchup. It's just that when Dragic is out, he's gonna be running the ball, operating the offense, and I like that. He can get a little bit aggressive. We see that Charlotte's banged up in the interior, which will allow Dion Waiters to just drive. Cody Zeller is not a defensive force, um, so I like Waiters for tomorrow. Josh Richardson, in 33 minutes, he gave you 33. If he can give me 33 tomorrow, I'll take it. That's about 8 times value. The thing is, he's not consistent, and he doesn't start. And Dion Waiters is just not a good look. Magruder has been surprising all season. He's been coming through with some 20s, and he's min price, but risky. And I'm not gonna risk Magruder. I like to risk big man like Mahinmi last night. If I know a big man is gonna get minutes, I'm gonna roster him because he's due for some rebounds, pick and roll plays, blocks. He got 7 steals. All right, but guards for the min price have to be in a very good spot for me to roster them. All right. James Johnson is questionable with an elbow. He has a lacerated elbow. I think that's the one he got stitches on. I don't think he'll play. They have no forwards. Um, that makes me like Dion Waiters more because James Johnson is another person who likes to kind of run the offense. So if he's out, Dion Waiters is almost a lock. James Johnson being out would make me very interested in Dion Waiters. Haslam is not worth it. Josh McRoberts is out. Luke Babbitt's questionable. They're pretty banged up, which makes Willie Reed interesting. I wouldn't play Willie Reed. I'm good. Um, he's a big man, but he's not quite minimal. And Hassan Whiteside is just gonna have to assume a lot of his responsibilities. In 2 games, 30 minutes, he put up 32. We need in the 40s. I don't like to roster Hassan Whiteside. I'm gonna stay away. But this game is a game that I would come to for value. because of the injuries. I like Dion Waiters a lot in that game. I think his responsibilities are going to be very high. And for some reason, they don't really. I've noticed that Dion Waiters will get you the same amount of assists as Goran Dragic, 6'5" and 5. And Dragic is the point guard, 5. So, um, yeah. On the Charlotte side of the ball, Kemba Walker has been hot, red fire, hot. In 2 games, he put up almost 40. He needs 48. He's been giving me just about 48. It's just that he's on the road, which isn't the worst thing, but Dragic plays defense. Kemba Walker, he's worth considering. He's hot. When a guy's hot, you have to consider him and just put him in. So I'm going to put him here and hopefully he makes the cut if I don't see someone else that give me a better value. But based on what he's doing, the All Star is showing up and he's showing out. Draftkings is crediting me. Yeah. And that's almost every night. Most of the time when you watch my videos, you're gonna see it come across. Your account has been credited. I do very well at this DFS. Um, like I said, in a month I might hit $1,000 or $2,000, but that's pretty good for me. That pays my rent. You know what I mean? Um, I don't take big risks because when I first started playing, I lost a lot of money like that trying to hit big tournaments. And I would hit like once every 2 months, but by the time I hit, I'm just making back my losses. So I started being more strategic, like a turtle, slowly but surely. And in the long run, the money adds up better for me. So 6 times value is what I'm shooting for. I can make 320. I can make 280. Either way, I'm gonna win money. That's my motto. 6 times value, guys. Um, Batum, he needs about 42. In 2 games, he's done about that. Dion Waiters is not a big defensive specialist. He shows upper 30s and 40s pretty consistently. Um, it's either him or Kemba Walker. It's been Kemba Walker as of late, but I won't count him out. I think he's worth consideration. I'll put him in my queue for now. Jeremy Lamb is always worth consideration. He'll come off the bench. For the min price, we need about 20. In the last 2 games, he gave you about that. In 2 games, 22 minutes in Miami, he gave us 26. It's a good value pay. I'm gonna write his name down. Might have to use him a little later. As of right now, he's not a guarantee, but he's the type of person that if you have a sweet lineup and you just need someone for 3,400, Jeremy Lamb is someone that I would consider. So I wrote his name down, and we'll come back to him. Um, let's move forward. Kid Gilchrist, he needs 30, give or take. He can get you that, as we see he has done, but he's also given me 18, 23. Um, in 30 minutes against Miami, 2 games, he only gave me 18 and 18.9. Matchup is not there. I'm not too excited to play him. Marvin Williams, not a bad pick. In 40 minutes against Indiana, he was 1 for 7 from the field, grabbed 5 rebounds, and gave me 16. He will give you just around 30 on any given night, give or take. But for his prices, he doesn't have the big upside that I'm looking for. I'm going to leave him alone. Cody Zeller will need to play a ton of minutes. Um, he needs a little over 30. I'm not too excited about him getting that against Whiteside tomorrow. Although Sanders seems to have been doing good against Whiteside, but the aggressive one, not the Cody Zeller kind of Sanders. Had my eye on this Johnny O'Bryant guy. He played 14 minutes and gave me 5 points. I was disappointed because Miami have no backup centers and the injuries. They're saying that Kaminsky could be out for the rest of the season. So O'Brien is going to have to take on a bigger role. For the most part, we see him getting a point per minute. He just had a very bad shooting day. He was 0 for 4. With no James Johnson down low, There's no one to nag him. I think off the bench he can have a good night tomorrow. He's the backup center and the backup power forward. He'll get minutes in the mid-teens. But what I've seen them doing is running a small lineup, playing Marvin Williams at the five and some Kid Gilchrist Bellinelli with um, Lamb and Batum and Walker. So I'm not too excited about O'Brien, but when I have a gut feeling like I did about Mahinmi and I feel good about a player, he may not hit the first time I play him, but remember I told you one day this week, O'Brien is gonna have a breakout game. Tomorrow might be the day, might not. I'm not gonna risk it, but I like him. I like him in the backup role. Um, Cody Zeller can easily get into foul trouble and he'll have a lot of minutes and he'll go off. So he's the type of person that is a good tournament dart punt play for tomorrow. This Detroit game, Detroit, let's start with them because their point guard situation is kind of funny in my opinion. Ish Smith has been taking over for Reggie Jackson. He almost took the starting role. They gave Reggie Jackson one more chance. They said, listen, as a matter of fact, the decision was pretty much made that Ish Smith would start, but something happened and he went with Reggie Jackson. And since then, Reggie Jackson has been showing up, guys. His starting role was threatened, and then he gave you 3 games in the 30s. 30 would be 6 times value. Indiana is the matchup that you like to pick on. In the 3 games that they played, he's averaged 36. That's a pretty good sample size. I like Reggie Jackson tomorrow against Indiana. Um, I'm not touching Schroeder for Jackson, um, and I'm not taking out. I will move Kemba and try Reggie Jackson. I don't think I was big on Kemba anyway. He starts. He's 5K. He's going up in a very good matchup. Um, and he has his job threatened. I don't know about you, but if I go to work and my boss said, "Listen, you're on thin ice," I'm gonna perform on the best of my ability because I don't want to lose my job. He's at risk of losing his job. And realistically, to make 30, all the guy have to do is get us a little bit of rebounds, a little bit of assists, mid-teens points. It's not hard. Um, so one, two, three, 4, 5. So about 50% of the times he will get you 30 points. Let's check out the matchup. Chicago is a good matchup. He did it. Philly is decent. He did it. New Orleans is a good matchup. He struggled. Portland is a good matchup. He struggled. Boston is a good matchup. He did it. Charlotte, mediocre. He struggled. Dallas, a difficult matchup. He did it. Milwaukee, 27 is pretty cool for 5K. I'll take that. Toronto, San Antonio. So the guy, he's a good player. I remember him from Oklahoma. He's a good player. Reggie Jackson. Yeah, he's supposed to be able to give you 30s to 40 every night. And I think tomorrow is the day that he shows people who he really is. He'll get the green light. He'll show out. Caldwell Pope, inconsistent. Um, they're starting CJ Miles. He's not. He's more of an offensive player. He's not really big on defense. Caldwell Pope should be able to have his way. He needs mid 30s, and other than this one game in the 50s, his production's been like teens, 20s, low 30s. Just not consistent enough for me. Um, I like Marcus Morris a lot. He's going to be drawing the attention of Paul George, and Paul George have the size advantage on him. In the 3 games that they played, he gave me 25 points. I need about 36 from him. He showed some upside with 57, but for the most part, he'll land in the upper 20s, low 30s, mid 30s, and I don't really want that from him tomorrow, to be honest. But he's a good matchup. Same could be said for Tobias Harris. But he's off the bench and he's like a Ish Smith. You just have to cross your fingers and hope that it's his night. I'm not willing to do that tomorrow. Um, Andre Drummond has been falling off as of late. In 3 games, he's averaged 33 minutes against the Pacers, and he has only gave me 35 fantasy points average. Not the great. The matchup's supposed to be there for him, but it's just not working as planned. Jeff Teague has been also struggling. I'm not rostering him. He's averaging 33 points. I need mid 30s from him. In 3 games, he's given us mid 30s against Detroit. We know he has 40s upside, and he was doing it about a month ago consistently. But until they figure it out, and they've been taking away a lot of his minutes and giving it to Monte Ellis and Rodney Stuckey. So I'll be careful with Jeff Teague tomorrow. CJ Miles, he starts. He's been doing well. It's just that Detroit's not a good matchup, and I know he for 4,000 we want mid 20s, and he's done that in 3 straight games. I'm just not gonna count on it for tomorrow. Glenn Robinson the third. Paul George is trying to infuse confidence into this guy. I see it every night. Paul George pumps him up and try to get him to go out, and he tries, but he's just not that good. Um, 3 out of the last 4 games he played, he gave me 14, 16, and 10. Even though he's min price, I'm going to leave Glenn Robinson alone. Paul George been heating up, very much so. In 3 games against the Pistons, he's been in the 41.7 average, which is good for 33 minutes. Um, and in the last couple games, been in the upper 40s and 50s. So he's a good play for tomorrow for a forward. Um, I would say more so than Ilyasova. So I can take out Ilyasova. I'll put Paul George, and we'll work our way forward on this lineup. Um, Thad Young was a good pick before he got injured, and then since he's been back, he hasn't been impressing me. I do like Miles Turner. It's just that he's going up against Drummond. It's going to be a rough one. The matchup is not there for him. Al Jefferson comes off the bench. He was giving him consistent good play, and I used to like him as a punt min play player, but and he still does mid teens is what you want from him. 18 to get you 6 times value, but off the bench it's just a risk. He does well more often for the season. He's averaging 16, which is 5.5 times value. So he's someone, but he's a big man, and I like to be careful when I pick my big man. I like my big men to be guaranteed. That's another strategy that I use is that pick big men that are almost a lock to give you 6 time value because big men are the one that rack up points the quickest. The DeMarcus Cousins and these big men that can rebound, score, assist. Those are the big men you want to pick on a night to night basis. Only pick guards like Russell Westbrook, who the team is going to give the ball every possession and let him do his thing, right? Um, so I'm going to stay away from Miles Turner. I'm going to stay away from most of Indiana against Detroit. And we're going to move on. Minnesota. Let's see what they have for Ricky Rubio. They still got him 6K. That's too cheap for Ricky Rubio. I don't care that he's going up against Chris Paul. That's okay with me. It's actually a better matchup than I initially anticipated. He has 51 side upside. He just had a triple double. Okay, he will get you assists in the double digits most nights. He can easily score in the double digits. That's a double double risk most nights. He's pretty stable. In 2 games against the Clippers, he averaged 17 points. Now, with the wet floor situation, I was hoping that that was a good matchup for him. I think he was playing, I don't remember who he was playing, but it was a good matchup, and I was very excited to play him. But this is not the best matchup for him, right? I don't think Minnesota is going to come and run over the Clippers. Clippers play defense. Chris Paul is a little bit of a nagger. Rubio, although his price is low, I'm a little bit concerned about Rubio tomorrow against Chris Paul. I'm gonna stay away. Um, Another person on the Timberwolves worth a look is Wiggins. Wiggins have 2 games. He's put up 36 points again against the Clippers. I don't want to mess with these guys. I would consider Carl Anthony Towns, but um, he needs about 63 points. He hasn't really been consistently been in the 60s. Um, he's a good player. He's a big man. He will score and rebound. He doesn't have too much of a passing ability. So he has to score 30 and up to satisfy me. With the Clippers being healthy, DeAndre Jordan, Blake Griffin, it's just not quite the matchup for me to roster Carl Anthony Towns. Same could be said for Gorgie Jang. In 2 games, he averaged about 30 minutes and only 20 fantasy points. So I'll stay away from Jang. Stay away from everyone against Chris Paul, on the other hand, is worth a look. Rubio does not have the defense to stop Chris Paul. He'll rack up some assists against them tomorrow. Since being back from injury, he's been in the 30s consistently. Even though the matchup is there, he's on the road. And putting up 30s consistently doesn't really impress me. Pretty sure I'd rather play Kemba Walker for a similar price than Chris Paul tomorrow in a better matchup. Um, I'm staying away. Austin Rivers is a backup off the bench. Jamal Crawford can get hot. His price been dropping because Chris Paul is back. He's in a decent matchup. In the last 2 games, he's been in the 30s. He's getting run in the 20s for minutes. He's someone worth taking a look for. I'm going to put his name next to Jeremy Lamb as someone that if I have a good lineup and I want to pick someone and cross my fingers, Crawford is someone I'm willing to do that with tomorrow in this good matchup, all right? Someone I didn't look at was B. Halixa on Minnesota. I'll back up a little bit. People seem to like him. I do not like to play him. He needs mid 20s. He had a couple games in the 30s, then he settled back down into the 20s. That was against San Antonio. I can say that the Clippers play defense as a whole. I'll stay away from him. Blake Griffin is $8,600. He needs about 50 to make 6 times value. He's got 40s against Minnesota. We know that athletic big men against Minnesota do very well. That's a fact, okay? He's an athletic big man. Boston was an ideal matchup for him. He got us just about 40, and for the most part, he's been in the low 40s. He can't really get over that hump. He's not someone I'll count out. Let's see who other power forward I have. But I'll take Millsap for $1,000 cheaper. You know what I mean? So be careful with Blake Griffin tomorrow. He's a good pick. He's in a good matchup. If you pick him, he can do well. He can make you happy. It's just not guaranteed. I'll be careful. DJ for 6,700 is definitely worth consideration. They played 2 games, right? He's played 36 minutes per game, and he's give us 50 fantasy points. That would be about 8 times value. That's the type of players that you like. He's a big that can clean the boards. With Chris Paul on the floor, he'll get you some points as well on the pick and roll. He'll get you some blocks, especially with Carl Anthony Towns forcing the ball a lot. I can see him getting some blocks. Carl Anthony Towns might induce some foul trouble, but DeAndre Jordan hasn't really been in that much foul trouble. Um, they're gonna foul him. He seems to be working on his free throw. This game here, he went 5 for 8, but then he went 4 for 13, 3 for 16. But the rebounds and the points will be there. Um, the history is there. The matchup is there. I really like DeAndre Jordan tomorrow, and I'm willing. So to save some money, I'm going to take out Kemba Walker because the matchup is not really that great. I'm going to put Reggie Jackson in the guard for now. And I am going to put DeAndre Jordan as my center. in a good matchup, and that's where we are. I love DeAndre Jordan tomorrow. Hopefully they got the floor cleaned up. I think he's in a good spot. He already shown that he can take advantage of this team. Um, he would have been in the 40s against the Celtics, but he only played 28 minutes because it was a blowout. Um, he's pretty safe, man. The guy will get you in the 30. He needs mid 30s to 40 to hit value, and he's been doing that since Chris Paul is back. In a great matchup, I don't see why I would not play DeAndre Jordan. I love the matchup tomorrow. He's probably going to be a lock for me. Rob Lopez is not a lock, but DeAndre Jordan, I think, is a lock tomorrow. Milwaukee, New York. It's not a game I'm excited about. I don't really like Milwaukee. I don't know about you guys, but Jason Kidd is a little bit erratic. He does weird stuff. Carmelo Anthony said that he will play, so that's worth a look. One buck that is worth a look is, so let's start from the beginning. Antetokounmpo needs 60. He hasn't got 60 once and twice in the last 10 games. The Knicks, he played twice. He got about 50. 50 is 5 times value. He's shooting for 6 times. For that elite price, I never play Antetokounmpo, to be honest. I just don't know what Milwaukee will do with him. Brogdon has been playing very well. He needs 33 in the last 3 games, 24, 27, 17. So I'm going to stay away from Brogdon tomorrow. He just doesn't show the consistency that I look for. Middleton would have Carmelo Anthony on him, right? We love that. Also, I read something saying that Beasley's about a week away from coming back. So in the small forward spot, I think Middleton's pretty safe. He's at home. He's gonna get his minutes because it's not a back to back. It's the Knicks. Carmelo is on him. He needs mid 30s to 40s in his last 4 games: 32, 29, 45, 38, and the matchup is there for him. I wouldn't take out Waiters. Um, Paul George been heating up. I like Paul George. I don't think I'll take out Paul George from Middleton. Dion Waiters can play the 2. So I'm going to take out Kilpatrick. I'm going to put Dion Waiters in the 2 spot. And I'm going to put Middleton in the 3 spot. We're a little overpriced, but I'm pretty sure we'll figure it out at the end. Milwaukee, power forward. Terrence Jones played against the New Orleans Pelicans. No, I'm bugging out. He didn't play Monday, although he could have. He did. I read that he got practice in today, and they expect to play him tomorrow against the Knicks. I'm not gonna play him. It's just bad enough as Jason Kidd. I don't know what they're gonna do with him. I need to see what they're gonna do with him before I rush to get him into my lineup. Greg Monroe, if he gets the minutes, he's a great play. In 2 games, 30 minutes against the Knicks, he's put up 40 fantasy points. The last 2 games, he only got 22 minutes. So Jason Kidd, I don't know what he's doing. I'm not gonna risk those guys. On the Knicks side of the ball, Derrick Rose is pretty much the only point guard in the Knicks. He needs about 36 to make value. He's done that 3 out of the last 4 games, and he's pretty much been in the high 20s, low 30s. He's consistent. In 2 games against Milwaukee, playing 32 minutes per game, he only gave me back 25 points. I'm not too excited about that. I'm going to leave Derrick Rose alone. The matchup is not there. And Carmelo is going to be back. Courtney Lee, same could be said. He needs 30 to hit 6 times value. And he's done that in 2 out of his last 4 games, 50% of the time. It's just that the other 50% of the time, he'll give you 12 and 16. The last game, he played 41 minutes. With Carmelo out, he only got 28. He didn't even make 6 times value. So the matchup is not there. Jason Kidd coming back to New York. I think I just don't want to mess with it. Carmelo Anthony needs mid 40s. Middleton is going to be on him. The last two times he played them, he's averaged 37 minutes and 56 points. I think Middleton hold him in check. And as of late, Carmelo hasn't been in the 40s. It's been in the 20s and 30s. New York is a mess. I'm not messing with it. Porzingis has been heating up. He got 51 against Golden State. Everyone jumped on him. He was the chalk of the night. He went to Orlando and got 25 points. The story of the New York Knicks season. I don't want any parts of it. I'm just going to move on from this game. Hernan Gomez is worth a look. He played for 5K in his mid-30s. He hasn't been in the 30s in the last 4 games that he's played. I'm going to stay away from him as well. And we're going to go into the Toronto game. A sub 10K DeMarcus Cousins. Interesting. Let's start with point guard Drew Holiday for 7K. He played 41 minutes. He's about a point per minute against Toronto, it seems. Against Utah, he struggled. He was 1 for 9, and they took him out the game early. He only got 21 fantasy points. Lakers was a good matchup. Normally, Toronto is a good matchup, but with Lowry being out, I think their backup, Corey Joseph, might be a better defender. I don't really know too much about him, especially on the defensive end. And just 7K for Drew Holiday is just a little bit worrisome. I'm going to be careful with that. I'm going to stay away from him. And the backups are not worth. Eton Moore, 12 fantasy points in the last game. I'm not interested in that. Who I am interested in now is Anthony Davis. Needs 60 to hit value. Toronto got a little better with the addition of Ibaka, Valanciunas. I don't think they can stop these guys, though, to be honest. DeMarcus Cousins just put up 30 fantasy points, but Utah is not the matchup to mess with. Gonna stay away from both of them tomorrow. They're just very high priced, and Toronto is not the Lakers. You know what I mean? Or Sacramento. They just got better defensively inside. Just worried. On the Toronto side, point guard Kyle Lowry's out. Corey Joseph been getting the start. His price is now 5K. He did get 30 in the last game, which is 6 times value. The only thing is that's the only game since Lowry been out that he's been in the 30s. New Orleans is the matchup for him, but we all know who's holding onto the ball. DeMar DeRozan. He is in a good matchup. I'm excited for him in this matchup, but I'm not playing him. If you know my my videos, I was all about him in my very first video. Yes, DeMar DeRozan, he's the only one that can score. He went out and gave me like 18 fantasy points. And because of that, on an 11-game slate, even if he does well, I won't feel bad. I have other options. I am going to leave DeMar DeRozan alone for a little while until he shows me some consistency. Norman Powell I like a lot. He's going to get minutes in the 20s. His price, weirdly, is down to 3,700. So he needs about low 20s to make value, and he's been doing that. Surprised that he's so cheap. I don't know why he's so cheap, to be honest. I like him. I like him a lot. I'm gonna write him down on this list. Someone to consider as a good value. Powell, Norman Powell. He is a good value play tomorrow. He has been getting minutes in the 20s. The last game against Milwaukee, he got 18 fantasy points. 18 and a half is not 6 times value, but it's definitely 5 times value. And for a min-price player, five-time value wouldn't hurt you, right? Especially if you got a nice lineup and you just want someone to throw in there. Um, the game before that, he played 25 minutes. He gave us 33 fantasy point, which is 10 times value. So a min-price player who has 10-time value upside is what you want. The game before that, he played Washington again, and he had 23 fantasy point. I like Norman Powell tomorrow. He's someone that I would consider. All right. PJ Tucker for 4K he needs 24. He hasn't really been doing that in the last 5 to 6 games. I'm not gonna waste any time on that. Serge Ibaka going up against the Twin Towers is a little bit concerning. He needs about 40 fantasy points. I am not gonna risk that. Same could be said for Nogueira and Valanciunas. Valanciunas been losing a lot of minutes to Serge Ibaka. He's playing minutes in the low 20s and teens. He's not worth consideration. That's enough for that game. 4 more games to go. Houston versus Utah. Nice matchup. Houston is home. I don't see them blowing out Utah. James Harden, 11K. He needs about 66. And I'll pay that for Westbrook. I don't know if I'll pay that for Harden. Though we know Harden put up a 100-point fantasy point game already this year. It's just Utah. I don't see that in his record. In the 2 games, he's averaged 35 minutes against Utah. His average points 52.6. 52.6 would be about, that's less than five. That'd be 4.5 times value for me at this price. A little risky. The matchup's not there. I'm not big on it. Pat Beverly, he helped me out last night. Again, the matchup is not there. I'm not excited about it. Lou Williams kind of fell off. 3 games in a row with sub 20 fantasy points. I'm going to stay away until he gets hot again. Ariza is inconsistent. Ryan Anderson is questionable. He's doubtful. Interesting. That makes Ariza very appealing. Now, I don't know about you guys, but in 2 games, Ariza put up 13 points in 28 minutes. That's not great. But for someone who's going to be playing minutes in the 30s, let's see, he played minutes in the 30s. He barely made 6 times value against San Antonio. Utah is a San Antonio kind of team that plays defense, slows the pace down a little bit. San Antonio was actually able to keep up with pace because Kawhi Leonard kind of shifted into another gear, but Utah doesn't have that player that can shift into another gear, and I'm afraid of Ariza. With 36 minutes, he's getting 13 and 21 points. He's very reliant on his three-point shot. If he's going to be playing the 4, they're not going to be using him for that much threes. They just got another three-point shooter in Lou Williams. I'm just not going to play Ariza tomorrow. I'm going to stay away. Clint Capella. Bigs against Utah is just not what I like to play. Gobert is a rim protector. I'm just going to move on. Gobert is someone I would consider tomorrow. In 2 games, playing 32 minutes, he's put up 42 fantasy points against Houston. I like to target bigs against Houston, all right? In his last 2 games, he's put up 46, 60 fantasy points. And those were tough matchups. That was against Boogie and AD. Sacramento, not so much. But then Brooklyn and Minnesota are good matchups, and he put up 21 and 22 points. So he can get a little bit inconsistent. He's on the road. He seems to do better on the road looking at his home road splits. Gobert is worth a look. Um, uh, just don't know. I do like to target bigs against Houston, but I'm going to stay away from Gobert tomorrow. Point guard, George Hill, what's going on with him? He has a toe issue and he's questionable. So I guess I might have to do an updated lineup after the injury news surfaces tomorrow, but for now I'm not going to roster him because he might not play. Rodney Hood has been hot. He disappointed a lot of people yesterday with his 14-point performance in a good matchup. This one is another good matchup in two games where he's averaged 27 points against Houston. He averaged 33 points for fantasy. I would not get discouraged by one bad games. Players are good for and due for a bad game. It was a low scoring game. It was a back to back for both teams. It was a back to back. New Orleans had played Sacramento the day before. I think Utah played Sacramento and New Orleans played someone else. So they both were tired and it showed. The final score was 88 to 83. This game is going to be up tempo. He's going to be going up against the defense of James Harden. Oh, in this game he came off the bench. That's right. They didn't start him. They brought him off the bench because of his injury history. They were concerned about the back to back. They didn't want to really use him that much. So in 20 minutes, he gave us 13 points. We need less than 30 to make value. I like Rodney Hood for that price against Houston. Um, I do. I like Rodney Hood. I'm trying to see how I can fit him in here. So Paul George has been hot, but Detroit is not a good matchup for him. I'm gonna take Paul George out. I'm just not confident about Paul George. I'm gonna put Waiters in the forward spot, and I'm gonna put Rodney Hood as my shooting guard. And that's my lineup so far for tomorrow. Um, Back to Utah. Shooting guards. Joe Ingles is always a good play. He got the start for Hood and put up 30 points against New Orleans. Um, Whoever starts. Now, the only way I play Hood tomorrow is if George Hill sits, then Hood is a lock. If George Hill plays, I wouldn't count Hood out. His usage will go down a little bit, but it'll just be a little more brainstorming. And I'm going to be on this all day tomorrow, analyzing and seeing who I want to put for my final lineup. Hayward is always a good matchup in a fast-paced game. I'm just not going to play him for 8K. That means I need 48. I'll be lucky if he gets low 40s. That's really his ceiling. I don't think I'll get 48 out of Hayward. I'm going to stay away. Favors is questionable. Oh, he's been ruled out. He has some soreness in his knees. So Favors is out. Hmm. I know they're not going to play DL big minutes because DL is about 50 years old. That makes me like Gobert even more. I liked Gobert before. I didn't want to squeeze him in, but now I really like Gobert. I'm going to get rid of Lopez. I'm going to put Gobert. And I have some money management to do. But for right now, I'm going to hold on to Gobert. I like Gobert. I love playing players against centers against Houston. I like. There's no favors, so Gobert's going to have to hold on to fort even more. I like Gobert a lot tomorrow. For mid 40s, anything in the 40s, really, I'll take it. He in two games playing 34 minutes, he's shown that he can get you in the 40s. He will get you double digit rebounds, I think, with George Hill not being in and Derek Favors not being in. He'll take more shots tomorrow, like he has been in the last two games. Gobert is in tomorrow. I love Gobert now that I know that Derek Favors has been ruled out. Um, that's it for that game. Sacramento, San Antonio. Kawhi Leonard. I wonder what his price is now. I'm gonna do San Antonio first. Kawhi Leonard is 10K. Am I gonna pay 10K for Kawhi Leonard? No. I know the matchup is there, but he just played three games of 40 minutes back to on the on a back to back 40 minutes both games. One day off, another 40-minute game. One day off. I don't think he's gonna get another 40. He may get ruled out. I would not be surprised if Kawhi Leonard is ruled out of tomorrow's game. All right. Now let's look at the four games. Minnesota with Towns and Wiggins was a good matchup. They needed him. It went into overtime. He played the minutes. Houston, they need him. Harden is a guy that will push and push. You need your best player against Harden, right? New Orleans with Boogie and AD, you need your best players. Indiana, you have Paul George, you need your best players. Lakers, you don't need your best players against the Lakers. And for that reason, he only gave them 26 minutes, all right? I want to say this is a no Chris Paul game, 31 minutes. So unless they're in a matchup that's threatening, Popovich is not going to go crazy. And hey, Kawhi Leonard only go crazy in matchups where the team really needs him and that he have to do that. Sacramento, he does not have to do that. For 10K, I'm not paying that for Kawhi Leonard. It's a good matchup. I'm just not paying it for him. Tony Parker's inconsistent. Patty Mills hit or miss. Um, Danny Green, Ginobili's just not someone I'm going to roster. We spoke about Kawhi. Aldridge is still 6.5K. Am I gonna play him? No. All right, he'll get you just around 30, mid 30s. Every now and then he'll hit the 40s, but he's not consistent. I had him last night, and he almost cost me money. I'm not gonna do it 2 nights in a row, and just don't like Aldridge. They got so many options. They play David Lee 20 minutes a game. They play Gasol needs 20 something minutes per game. Gasol is actually a good matchup for tomorrow. Gasol is a good play. It's just that for centers, I'm already booked. Deadman needs 20 minutes a game. Sometimes they give him 9. Sometimes they give him upper teens. I'm gonna stay away from the rest of the San Antonio. On the Sacramento side, I don't. They haven't really got it figured out yet. Ty Lawson seems to be someone who is pretty safe. It's just that he's on the road. He doesn't do too well on the road. It's going to be a slow paced game. Denver is a good matchup. He got 6 times value. He got 6 times value against Utah. He did against Brooklyn. He did against Minnesota. Those are all good matchups. And I would like to think that Ty Lawson will get minutes in the 30s. I'm sure he will. They're not looking to tank. San Antonio is the matchup for him to thrive. Ty Lawson is worth a look. It's just that his price is 5K now, so he would really have to give me. The thing with Ty Lawson is he won't get you less than 25 points. All right, that's a given. If he plays, this Charlotte game was low scoring. In Denver, 25. And his ceiling is not that great. I'll stay away from Lawson. I wouldn't stay away from him. He's a good play. I just don't. Um, yeah, if he was shooting guard eligible, I may consider saving, switching him out for Hood, but Hood is in a good spot tomorrow. I like Hood and Gobert. I'm not gonna touch Ty Lawson. I thought about it. He is a good play, and I would not discourage you against it, but I'm gonna leave him alone for my lineup. Collison, same thing. He can get you around 30, and it's funny because him and Lawson price has balanced out. I hate playing Collison personally. People argue with me about it. They say, "Oh, he's this, he's that, he's all they got, whatever." You guys play him. I'm not gonna play him. I advise against him. I just don't like to play him. Buddy Hield comes off the bench. They're really trying to convince Buddy Hield that he's going to be a big superstar. I don't doubt it. I saw him playing in college for Texas, not Texas, Oklahoma. I saw him playing for Oklahoma in college. He did very well in college. Almost took his team the distance, but on the pro level, he hasn't proven himself as yet. I'm going to stay away from Buddy Hield. Tyreek Evans needs 30. He's going up against Kawhi Leonard. Need I say more? Um, Willie Cauley Stein's been balling, man. He had 36, 31, but then he gave me 19. For 5K, he gave me 19. I'll be upset. I'm not going to take it. Costa Kufos has also been consistent. The last game, 30. The one before that, 30. He had a game where he was 0 for 7. He had 6 points, but then the game before that, 30. He's 3.8K in 20 minutes against San Antonio in 2 games. He's averaged 15 points. I see him getting 30 minutes, which would be about another 7 on top of that, 22. For 3.8K, that's worth it. But like I said, with my big men, I like guarantees. I'm not gonna pick Carly Stein against the Spurs in my center spot when I have other options, right? And that's that game. Washington, Denver. Washington is coming off of a back-to-back game in which they barely won. They really had to struggle for it. And then they're traveling from Phoenix to Denver overnight to play this game. Um, I would be careful. I would be careful. I wouldn't chase Mahinmi. I had him tonight. He did me good, but I wouldn't chase it. Not on this big slate when you have options. Let other people do that. But Mahinmi is um, valid consideration, especially with Jokic being questionable. I just don't see him getting 7 steals again, and I don't see Gortat getting into foul trouble again. I just on a small slate, I was really expecting 5 to 6 times value, and he got me like 12 times value, but or more. But on this slate, I'm gonna stay away from him. Gortat, stay away because they're splitting minutes. Um, and the rest of the Washington Wizards studies have shown that when teams play back to back on the road, traveling from city to city, they don't do well. With that, with that being said, John Wall has the best matchup. He played 38 minutes against Denver once this season. He only gave us 36. He's 11K. He needs about 66. I'm not gonna mess around with no Wizard tonight. But I'll go through them briefly. Bradley Beal has a golden opportunity. He started hot tonight, then he cooled down. He had 38 points in the one game that they've played Denver. He's been 30s and 40s. He needs a little about 45 fantasy points to hit 6 times. Bogdanovich price inflated to 5K, so he needs 30. Um, he can do it. He will probably do it. But on the back to back, I'm not going to play around. Outside of one game where he's only had 8 fantasy points, he's been in the 30s since he got traded. He's good for it. He's pretty consistent. He can shoot. He can rebound. He's getting a lot of minutes. They like him. They're trying to get him acclimated. Um, he's a bench guy in a back to back, which I like to play because they'll want to rest their starters who played so much minutes tomorrow, and they'll run out their bench a little more. So people like Brandon Jennings is worth a look tomorrow against Denver in 2 games, 37 minutes. He put up 30 points on average and fantasy points. And I think Brandon Jennings will get a little more run tomorrow in the back to back. I think they might sit Wall. If I was them, I'll sit Wall. I wouldn't really force it. I don't want to hurt my superstar. Something tell me Wall doesn't play tomorrow for rest purposes. And if that's the case, Brandon Jennings is what you want for sure on a minimal price. Um, Jennings and Bogdanovich tomorrow could be good sleepers, all right? I think they're going to get the minutes on a back to back. On the Denver side of the ball, Jameer Nelson, um, he's been struggling. We know that he's good for 30s and 40. He needs 30 to hit value in his last three, 18, 18, and 15 fantasy points. So that's a turn off. Jamal Murray is not really doing too much. Gary Harris, I like. He's pretty safe, man. Outside of this one game where he played 22 minutes and only took one shot, weird. He's been pretty much good for mid 20s to 30s. It's a pretty safe play. Doesn't have upside. He's not going to give you 40s and 50s, but he'll give you 5 to 6 times value, 9 out of 10 times. Safe, right? Playing on a team that's back to back traveling, I think that's a good play. We didn't look at the injuries. Fareed is out and Jokic is questionable. Small forward, Wilson Chandler. Had a good game yesterday. If Jokic is out, would I play Chandler? No. Would it be a bad idea? No, only because of the inconsistencies, man. He needs about 40 points to hit value for me. In good matchups, he do it. Sacramento sucks. Atlanta sucks. But when he plays team that sucks like Brooklyn, he plays and put up 30. I don't want 30 from him. 36 minutes in Memphis, he put up 35. That wouldn't kill me, but I don't know. I don't like chasing one game when a player goes off. What happened was he started shooting. He was hot. He kept shooting. He stayed hot. They won the game. He was the man. Put up, I think that's a career high. I don't think a guy is going to put up career high points in back to back games. So I'm going to stay away from Wilson Chandler tomorrow. Gallinari, he's good for 30, but he sticks around 30. I need 36 plus, and he doesn't seem like someone that can give me that on a consistent basis. But he is a good play. He is a good play. He just doesn't have the upside that I'm looking for. Um, Mason Plumlee. If Jokic is out, I will consider Mason Plumlee. We know that he can assist, rebound, score, block, steal. In 15 minutes, he give you 15. If you double that, that's 30. That's 6 times value. And if you look at his minutes and fantasy point, he's always good for a point per minute. 31, 35, 15, gave me 15, 18, he gave me 15, 23, he gave me 22. In 23 minutes, he gave me 40. So if Jokic is out, and let's read. Jokic is questionable for Wednesday game against the Wizards. He came down with an illness earlier this week and held out of Monday contest. He'll continue to receive treatment overnight with the hope of being cleared ahead of Wednesday's tilt. But look for another update in the morning shoot around. If Jokic is given a green light, look for him to take back his role, and Plumlee will go back to the bench. All right. If Jokic is out, I'm going to lock Plumlee in. I think his upside against a team coming off of a back-to-back is great. I think that's definitely what I would want and need, and that's my strategy. If Jokic is out, I'll probably get rid of DeAndre Jordan and play Mason Plumlee. And that'll be perfect. It'll put me right under the cap. Um, but we won't know until tomorrow. Just something worth looking at. Finally, Boston versus Golden State. Horford remains questionable. Isaiah Thomas, he needs 50 plus. I don't like to play Isaiah Thomas at these prices that they're listing him for. I don't think he's gonna get me 50s, and that's just he does. That's if he does get me 50, that's his ceiling, and that's not even 6 times value. So I'm gonna leave Isaiah Thomas alone. Marcus Smart needs about 30. Um, Not convinced that he'll get me that. Jay Crowder is pretty much. Um, he's normally pretty steady. He needs about 30, mid 30s. He'll get you mid 20s to mid 30s. I'm not excited about it. Amir Johnson is a good play if Horford sits again, but it's not someone I'm going to jump and rush to play. Kelly Olynyk and Tyler Zeller, bench players who can come in and do good or come in and flop. And the unpredictability concerns me. Steph Curry's been cold and he's still 10K. I'll be careful. I don't know if I'm going to get 60 out of Steph Curry. Boston is the lineup to do that, but hey, so is Atlanta. He only gave me 40. New York, 55 is still not 6 times value. Chicago, Washington, 40s, 40s. Philadelphia, 30s. I don't know why they keep his price at 10K when he's putting 30s and 40s, but he's Steph Curry. That's what you get when you're Steph Curry. Um, Klay Thompson for 7K needs 40s again. He doesn't do that consistent enough for me. Iguodala just had a big game. He put up 40 something points. That's his season high in fantasy points. I don't see him doing that back to back. Avery Bradley will play. And he's a very, but they have Iguodala as a small, as a shooting guard. Wow. But um, Patrick McCall has been drawing starts, but Boston Crowder is not gonna let this little skinny guy run over him. Um, Draymond Green is always a worth a consideration. He needs 48. He doesn't really get that consistently. Um, Boston is a team that Draymond Green can triple double against. All right, he'll grab a lot of rebounds because Boston does not rebound the ball, and he can get some blocks because Isaiah Thomas is 5'10". He will get some assists because Boston is an easy team to move the ball around against. And there's a lot of shooters that he can pass the ball to that will make shots. I can see him triple doubling tomorrow. It's not a bad idea to play him. Um, Draymond Green is in play. He's a definitely worth consideration. Don't shy away. Load him up. I'm not gonna play him, but I wouldn't be mad if you play him. I think it's a good play. Zaza Pachulia, another good play. He played 21 minutes and put up 28 fantasy points against Boston. Centers against Boston is always a good play, with or without Al Horford. For under 4K, I love it. It's just that I'm very particular with my centers, and I'm not gonna fill up a center spot with a Zaza Pachulia unless it's like a 2 game slate and I can afford to do that. Um, but I like it. 24, he needs to hit value. The last 3 games, he's put up 15, 17, 16, 21 fantasy points. So he hasn't really been hitting value. He doesn't really get that much minutes. He's getting minutes in the teens. They're giving JaVale McGee a lot of minutes, and rightfully so, because I see JaVale McGee hustling out there, man. He's blocking shots, and he's jumping up for these alley hoops, and he's the man, but he's just not good on a fantasy um, perspective, right? And that's the 11 game slate. That's my thoughts on the players that's supposed to be in play. Now, I'm going to put together a lineup. I'm a little bit over. My 2 centers, I'm not going to move Reggie Jackson. I don't think I'm going to move him either. I think for 5K, that's pretty cheap and a good matchup, which he has already exploited. Dion Waiters against, they played. It's just that Dion Waiters is going to have so much responsibility, man. And if we get Dion Waiters playing 30 something minutes for 6K, I wouldn't say he's a lock. I can excuse Dion Waiters. Millsap needs mid 40s. I can't say that I'm guaranteed to get that from Millsap. He's done it 4 games in a row. He's just the type of person that you roster him and you cross your finger, man. Against Brooklyn, it's a good matchup, yes. But Brooklyn just beat Memphis, so they deserve a little bit of respect. All right, guys? You're talking to a guy that lives in Brooklyn. I'm gonna hold out on Millsap. Middleton, I was excited because he's going up against Carmelo Anthony. He has a lot of responsibilities. He needs about 40. Want to kind of back off of Middleton again. Um, Rodney Hood just depends on George Hill. So if I play him, it'll be in my updated lineup against Houston. I'm gonna hold on to Rodney Hood. I think that's. I don't know. I don't know. He may make my updated lineup, but for now, I'm just gonna hold off. So I'm down to these 4. This is the core. Some people say they have top 5s and core 5s. This is my core 4 players for tomorrow. I think it's a good way to start your lineup. Dennis Schroeder, Rudy Gobert, Reggie Jackson, and DeAndre Jordan. They're all in good matchups. All right, tomorrow's a day I'm not gonna go over 9, 10 Ks unless I see something different. Um, Looking for shooting guards. Let's check it out. What about $6,000 per to spend? I want to put back Hood. I feel pretty good about Hood. I don't think Hood is gonna kill me in an up pace matchup, especially on the road where they're gonna play to the pace of the Rockets. And he got a little rest from the last game and day off. Doesn't take much. Look, he can get you 20 points on Rodney Hood. It's just that James Harden will give up some steals. He plays defense, right? We see he gets a couple steals. He plays defense. James Harden is liable to give up some steals, right? Um, what's his three ball? He's about 50% 3-point shooter. Um, let's see his home and away split. It's pretty even. It's just not guaranteed, man. Let's put him for now, right? I think Dion Waiters is more of a guarantee. Dion Waiters have a higher ceiling, more responsibility. They still have Gobert, they still have Hayward, right? Even if Georgia might play. Um, let's get Dion Waiters back in there. Small forward. Gotta get Middleton back in there. Power forward. Got about 8K. Mm, let's see my bargain. I had Norman Powell, Jamal Crawford, and Jeremy Lamb. None of those are power forwards. Town is too expensive. These guys are too expensive. Griffin's a little too expensive. Millsap was in my lineup. Um, Millsap is not a bad play. It's a good matchup against Brooklyn. They've played, and he's in 28 minutes. He gave us 37. So if he gets in the 30s, I think he can get into the 40s. He's been in the 40s. He's good for rebounds. He's good for points. He'll get to the line, and I like to play people who will get to the line. If they're losing, he'll get to the line. I don't see Atlanta blowing out anyone. Let's see. Close game, close game, close game, close game. They blew out Boston, which is a decent team. They got blown out by Orlando, and you can't predict blowouts, right? I'm gonna put back Millsap, so it's pretty much back to what it was before. And then for 3,300, let's see, how much is Jeremy Lamb? 34. Just missed it. He's a What about Powell? 37. And this is how I construct my lineup every night. Um, I'm just trying to see. Aflalo's been doing okay, but he just put this 7 nugget that concerns me. And Lawson was out the couple of days where he was doing okay. With Lawson back, I'll be careful. Exum with no, I'm not gonna do Exum. I just can't do it. Mm. Brandon Jennings, I said, can be sneaky, especially if they rest Wall. Wall has been playing the most minutes in the NBA on a back-to-back on the road, traveling out west. The coach will have to be crazy, and they won, and it's a game that they should win without him. Before they didn't have a backup point guard. They had Burke, which can be iffy, but Jennings is a legit backup point guard, and he's someone that can allow you to give your star point guard some rest. So whatever. I'm gonna see Jeremy Lamb in 2 games, played 22 minutes, put up 20. His floor is pretty low, 9 and 8, but he's getting minutes. And the next thing is, Charlotte is hit with a lot of injuries, so It's probably opening up minutes for everyone else. So I like Lamb. Um, so I'm $100 over. Right, and my lineup is looking decent. We got Schroeder, Lamb, Middleton, Millsap, Gobert, Reggie Jackson, Dion Waiters, DeAndre Jordan. Nice. It might not win me a tournament, but I think it'll keep me in the green for another day. These are all players that keep their hands on the ball a lot, all of them, when they're in the game, and I like that. I like the idea of that. So let's look at each player. Let's start from DeAndre Jordan and see if it's someone for 66 that I can say I like just as much as I like DeAndre Jordan, right? Rubio against Chris Paul. No, I'm not taking him out. I think DeAndre Jordan's gonna have 20 rebounds tomorrow. I feel it in like 4 blocks. I like DeAndre Jordan tomorrow. I'm not gonna take him out. Someone for 62 that I can take out. Waiters for. I don't know. Waiters is pretty good. No, Reggie Jackson, 5K. Now Reggie Jackson, I think is pretty locked in for 30 points tomorrow. I don't see him not getting 30, and his upside is there. I think versus Indiana, he'll get you 7 to 8 times value tomorrow. I really feel that. He is inconsistent, so he's not someone that I would shy away from taking out. Um, I like Ty Lawson a lot. I don't mind swapping Reggie Jackson for Ty Lawson because we know that Reggie Jackson can get you 18 and 16. Ty Lawson is not going to get you that when he plays, especially after the trade. It's guaranteed for some mid 20s, 30s. He doesn't have quite the upside that Reggie Jackson has, but I think they can get you similar numbers. And then Reggie Jackson could come out sluggish and Ish Smith can take over. And the emergence of Ish Smith, even if Jackson does have a good game, they're going to want to give Ish Smith 20 something minutes. This 17 minutes is not going to stay. They're going to give him like minutes in the 20s. Um, so Reggie Jackson is expendable. I'm not touching Gobert. Someone for 76 that I can say is equivalent to Paul Millsap. Lowry's out. Carmelo's no Drummond, no Wiggins. I don't have any more space for centers. No Dragic. Porzingis. No. Millsap is safe. 6,500 for Middleton. No Aldridge. Um, Rubio for Middleton. Who Bill's up against? Middleton has that lineup, that matchup against Carmelo, man. But Carmelo's been playing a lot of four, but Hernan Gomez is back. So it's going to be Hernan Gomez, Porzingis, Carmelo. Love Middleton. He'll get some rebounds. I love Middleton. I'm not going to move Middleton. Jeremy Lamb, we already been there. 66 for Schroeder in a good matchup against Brooklyn at home. I don't think I'm going to touch him either. I'll need 65. Rubio for Schroeder. Or Reggie Jackson for Ty Lawson. Rubio's been hot, man. He's averaging 41 in the last 10. But he just needs just about 40. But he struggles. He struggles against the Clippers. Um, He's home. All right, I'm pretty sure his home split's better, which it is by significantly. Reggie Jackson is on the road, and I'm pretty sure he struggles on the road. Ty Lawson is also on the road. I don't think that matters though for Tyler. No, not really. Schroeder, Brooklyn is such a good matchup. Rubio is not in a great matchup, so to take out Schroeder for Rubio, Schroeder I think will get me into the 40s against Brooklyn. They're so easy. Um, he also can land you in the 20s and low 30s. And Rubio at home, San Antonio is a good matchup. Um, no, they're not at home, are they? Yeah. Clippers is not the greatest matchup, but I'm gonna go Rubio. I'm gonna hold on to Reggie Jackson because it's a good matchup. Um, I'm gonna go Rubio. Okay. And then I think, let me see something. 35. Oh, this is Jordan Crawford. Whoa. In 20 minutes, he put up 30 fantasy points. Took a lot of shots. Um, I'm not the type of person to risk that, but I do like players when they come with these 10-day contracts because they show out. Teams do not have a scouting report for them, and they normally do well. And that's just another case to show you. When a team does not have a scouting report for you, they don't know how to prepare to play you, and you will do well. That's just to show you Jordan Crawford came in and did well. I just want to see the depth chart for New Orleans. Who is their shooting guard starting? Yeah, they're struggling. They don't really have anyone. Hollis Thompson, Eton Moore. Stay away from that mess. 3,500. Jordan Crawford. Matt Barker, Temple. Hmm. Nope. I'm just trying to see if I can get some better value than Jeremy Lamb for the extra 100. Aaron Baines looked pretty good out there in the 2 games, right? How many games he played? Oh, you don't want. Um, and I'm not messing around with Jason Kidd. Labissiere, he doesn't start, and his minutes aren't guaranteed. Sam Decker may be interesting with Ryan Anderson now, but it's Utah. We don't want to mess around with Utah on the inside. Levert, hit or miss. Joe Johnson, Raymond Felton, Gary Temple, Patty Mills, Matt Bond, Joakim Noah's out. That's it. So this is my lineup preliminarily. Like the video, subscribe, comment. You can even give me a lineup that you have a question about. I'm working on a Twitter. That way you don't have to publicly put your lineup out. You can just hit me up on a DM in Twitter, and I can give advice. Look out for that, and just let me know. Let me know what you think. Um, I like it so far. If I get 40, 60, if I get 95, 135, 175, 205, 240, and then 275. So, and that's just off the head, giving them a prediction of where I would land. 275 will get me in the money in all the contests that I'm entering. So, um, I'm gonna go ahead and submit this lineup, and tomorrow, about an hour before lock, I'll work on an updated lineup. I'll post it, and 3 days in a row we won money. So stick with me, guys. I'm not gonna win you tournaments, like I said. I don't take these big risks, and it's hard to unless you're a shark. It's hard to say, hey, I have the tournament lineup for the night. But if you're gonna play 50-50s, and if you're gonna be happy just hitting on all your entries, then I'm the guy that you want to listen to, man. I'll take you there. All right, see you guys tomorrow, man.